We're here in Leggett, California at the world-famous drive-through tree. Now we're picking up some very high levels of radiation on the CPMs. We hit over 80. And you remember earlier today we were in Southern California.
That's the redwood forest, for those who don't know what that is, in California.
And we got CPMs well over 200. They say the normal for that area of Southern California we were in is around 30, and we got way over that, and now we're hitting over 80 on the CPMs, or the counts per minute. Now I'm going to switch to the micro REMS setting, and we're hitting about 19, 18. This is using our professional grade Geiger counter. So we're hitting about 17 is the average here. So let's move on around the area and see what's going on here. It is late at night, so we're the only people out here. You can see the sign right here, the world famous historic drive-through tree. Now unfortunately this area is closed. We'll move up here to this closed sign, and they definitely want you to know that you are being surveilled, because it says it right here on this sign. Sorry, we're closed, no trespassing. And then if you see the fine print, under 24-hour surveillance. So let's just go ahead and surveil what we have right here. Now we're still on the micro REMS setting. We're hitting about 14 of the micro REMS. Now we hit to the counts per minute. And you can find out what all these settings mean in the INFOWars articles. You can find articles by Paul Joseph Watson. Now we're hitting about 52 counts per minute. Remember earlier today, they say the safe normal levels are around 30 in Southern California. So we're hitting about 56, 60. So double what the normal levels are in Southern California. We're here at the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge here in San Francisco, trying to find out what the radiation readings are for this location. Let's go ahead and take a look. So we're broadcasting here. Got the radiation levels of about 9. That's micro REMS, and we're going to switch over to CPMs, which is 40. Now you recall the local news is saying that 30 is about a normal level as far as CPMs for this location around here, around the San Francisco area. So we're about 46 in the micro REMS. Horseshoe Bay, and we have readings about 8 micro REMS. You can see them right there, 10. We'll switch over to CPMs. It's about 32 CPM. So this is about normal for what we've been told is normal for this part of the country, about 30 to 36 CPMs.
Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? This is a meteor that come racing through the sky last night as we entered into our 6th. Today is the 6th days of the 7 days of passage, as the Earth is passing through Comet Ison's debris trail. For those of you, this is not comet dust. Obviously, this is a very large meteor. Look at this. It was captured here. Jesse sent this to me, Jesse Waltman. Look at this thing. I mean, it was enormous as it come racing across the sky. Where? Saudi Arabia. What? Saudi Arabia. It lit up the sky. It lasted 10 seconds. It was an unbelievable, spectacular meteorite that come racing through the sky last night, of course, bringing about a very, very powerful, spectacular view across the skies of Saudi Arabia. Once again, this was a meteorite. This is from the debris trail of Comet Ison. Comet Ison debris trail, very large, very fast, very powerful. And it lasted 10 seconds. Now, that means it had to be quite large. So anyway, we're still going through the 7 days of passage. And of course, here's the good news. There's been a lot of meteorites. This is probably the biggest one that's been captured. But there's been a lot of meteorites. The good news is we have not been hit. The Earth has not had an impact that we know of, unless one hit in the ocean somewhere that nobody had a camera on. but we've had a lot of meteorites from this debris trail. The good news is we haven't had any kind of major hit or catastrophic event from it. But we still are in day 6 of the 7 days of passage of Comet Ison. Also, we are still in day 6 of the 7 days of mourning of the death of former Prime Minister of Israel, Ariel Sharon. And you know, folks, when they laid him to rest, the day they buried him, there was a 3.5 earthquake in Israel. I mean, what are the odds of that? Right there near the area where he was put to rest. Just something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. Don't miss today's show. Again, Joe and Doug Hagman will be our guests.
January 16, 2014. Guys, this is the above-ground building at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, part of that underground super collider. And this is what I was asking Anthony Patch about. And notice how similar it is to the antenna at the top of the Nikola Tesla tower, guys. Identical dimensions and proportions. And in our discussion about CERN and the opening of the Stargate that these scientists are trying to do, and how that relates directly to the key to the bottomless pit. It's demonic entities coming upon this earth. But Anthony Patch will be with us tomorrow. He's author of Covert Catastrophe, and he's been with us before. And this is one of the things. And this is an overlay, guys, of comparing that magnet to the inside of the United Nations building. Look at the size of this thing. And why am I doing this? Because not only do they have Shiva there, the god of destruction that dances between the dimensions there, but they also are building these around the world. In Gainesville, in Florida, in Illinois. And guys, in the United Nations building, there's what's called a meditation room, and it's an occult. They're setting this thing up with these giant magnets, and right in the middle of this occult meeting room that's hidden inside the United Nations building, right on this ley line, right in this section of the earth, it's going to be between the Illinois Collider and CERN. What is going on? This is a picture of it. It's one of the world's largest magnets. Now, and also notice the pyramids in the back there, and that painting, guys. That's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the occult elite getting ready for the kings to give their power. Now, also on tomorrow's show, I think I've got it set up to where I can take like 3-way conference calls, and I've sent out a call to Michael to come in and join Anthony and I on the show. I have not heard back whether or not he has the time. I'm sure he would love to if he can, so it may turn out to be a really fantastic blog talk show. If I need to go 2 hours on it, we will on that, guys. But things are really getting interesting. And on the fireball reports, they're still coming in. Again, the ones in Europe are not the same as the ones we're seeing here in the U.S. Different colors, different meteor storms is what we're dealing with. But again, there's a lot going on with this CERN thing, guys, and it's got a lot to do with these end times and what they're trying to do. Heads up.
It is a symbol that the eye in the capstone, the top of the pyramid, it is a symbol that most of you are familiar with, undoubtedly. I came across a video here that Danny Wilton, aka Starscream, has done, pointing out what he believes is the capstone that is just like the one on the pyramid, the one that they are using symbolically. This is trapezium in the Orion Nebula. It's very interesting. I'll leave a link to his video so you can check it out. But nonetheless, very distinct design. Now, what is the eye in the capstone? Well, as you can see here, the Egyptians took to it very seriously. And it all comes down to the mind's eye, the pineal gland. the very center of your brain. And this is a very important part of your body, health-wise, spiritually. It gives you, you know, levels of intelligence to be intuitive. And some say it is the spiritual door to where you can pass in and out of this realm through the pineal gland. This is what people in yoga concentrate on. In many other realms, some occultics, some people in magic, they'll all tell you the same thing, that the pineal gland, which is shaped like a cone, and you can also find the references to the cone shape, dating back thousands of years, being the secret that they don't want you to know about. Now, fluoridating the water, as Mike touches on here, these fluorides that they're putting in the water systems in a lot of the United States is causing cancer. It's genetically modifying and damaging the DNA, thyroid disruption. It diminishes your IQ and inability to focus, makes you lethargic. Alzheimer's disease, melatonin disruption, lowers immunity to cancer, accelerates aging, and it attacks the pineal gland. Calcification, which clogs this gland located in the middle of the brain. Now, some of you may ask yourself, what is fluoride? Some of you may know, but and some of you may have heard this before, but please, not everybody is on everyone else's level with knowledge. You have to be patient here in sharing this information. With this fluoride, you have calcium fluoride, which appears naturally in underwater supplies as it runs through the earth. Now, it's relatively benign when it gets into your body because the way that it is made, the molecules it's composed of, it kind of neutralizes itself naturally. Now, that redeeming factor alone shows you that, consuming small amounts of it are not going to be harmful to you. On the other hand, the types of fluoride that are added to the water supply are not the natural kind. Okay? These are waste products of nuclear, aluminum, phosphate, fertilizers, and the EPA has classified these as toxins. Fluorosilicate acid, sodium silicate fluoride, sodium fluoride. These are the elements that they are putting in your drinking water. Reverse osmosis is one of the best methods to use to try to get rid of this fluoride. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why are they doing this? It is my belief they are attacking your pineal gland. This is a game of control. I think most of you are intelligent enough to know this. This is a game where everyone on this planet has to get up and go to work, right? That right there should tell you you're not free, you're a free slave. You're being controlled, manipulated by the money masters, the ones that control the media. And how do they do this? By reaching your brain, by controlling your thoughts. Okay? And if they dumb this down, or they block it out, freeze it up, turn it into a rock, your chances of awakening are slim to none, unless you get a whole lot of help. So I wanted to put this video out there to kind of clarify, when you're seeing this image, exactly what it means. It's consciousness, opening your mind. It's not hard to do. Start with being open-minded and use discernment, and things will start to fall into place. Like I said, I'll leave links. You guys can watch Danny's video there. You can start to put the pieces to the puzzle together here on what this all means. And when you see that they're attacking our water supply with these chemicals that they've already banned that cause all of these disorders, it starts to all make clear sense what their agenda is, to attack this pineal gland. And as you can see right here, it matches perfectly. I'll leave links as always. Till next time, keep your inner
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diane, and today is January 17th, 2014. Here are your news updates for today. It's the 20-year anniversary of the Reseda quake, aka Northridge quake. Heads up, it's been 20 years. Being from California, heads up, you know. Way overdue for a big quake now. 20 years. We usually don't go more than 15. Alright. The Watchers watching the world. Arctic cyclones more common than previously thought. 20 years after devastating magnitude 6.7 Northridge quake, Los Angeles, aka it was a Reseda quake, and it was higher than magnitude 6.7 in a lot of places. Alright. Key species of algae shows effects of climate change over time. I already reported on that. I'm so cold. It is cold in Florida. I'm freezing. I had to put a giant robe and my earmuffs on over my regular clothes. Alrighty then. Moving on. The Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. Gravity. Japan to test magnetic net that can fish out floating space junk. I think Japan should worry about a magnetic net and get that corium out. I don't think Japan should be working on anything else but taking care of Fukushima. What do you think? Alright. South Korea slaughters poultry amid H5N1 bird flu scare. 24 farmers under quarantine. Has the sun gone to sleep? Strange solar behavior baffles astrophysicists. Eruption of Shaikhkurzeli volcano, sorry for that pronunciation, causes earthquake in Azerbaijan. Wow. Heads up. Alright. E&E News. Energy News. U.S. Canada. Let's go there first. Fox News. Fukushima contamination is hitting California. Humans are terrified of eating it. It's an open question about the risk. You're not scared? To me, if someone tells me there's low levels of radioactivity in the fish, ... Also, TV. California seafood is tainted from Fukushima disaster, says chef. Anything from San Diego to Alaska removed. It's easy for people to be convinced there's no harm now. That's part of the problem. There you go. So Fox News is reporting on it, huh? All you guys on the Southern California West Coast, Fox, CBS, all you guys, you didn't want to report on it, but that didn't stop it from you being exposed to it, did it? Alrighty then. Okay, let's go to E&E News, Japan, Fukushima. Today, TV, many young people in Fukushima who are in high school have died suddenly. Officials ignore all the problems. Former mayor, people are always told any disease they have is not caused by radiation. Also, Former official in Fukushima. This is a disaster of all humanity, the entire world. It's on an international level, huge consequences, now bigger than anything we can cope with. Japan TV. It gets worse every minute at Fukushima plant. Groundwater mixing with melted fuel. Gunderson, there's no end in sight because the nuclear core is in contact with groundwater. Alrighty then. It's 5 days down. We made it. It's Friday, the eve of Saturday. Alright, this weekend, get ready for anything. Be prepared. Start going through your list and get yourself prepared for anything. I'm attaching a lot of videos. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Stay tuned. I have Dr. Deagle with Chris Alexander, I believe is his name. No, there's Tim Alexander, but I'm going to cut the political stuff off. China's trying to take over some island that's off the coast of, I think, the Philippines. So heads up on that. They're going to start fighting over islands out there in Asia. Alright. Take care. Be prepared for anything. I want you to start prepping the best you can. This is the weekend of prepping, so that you're almost ready for any type of situation. Alrighty then. I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Stay safe. Stay warm. Myself and the doggies and the cat, we're gonna just huddle together, and and the cat, like we did last night. We're just gonna, huddle together. That body heat will keep us warm. It's not real bad, but I don't know. It doesn't look like there's gonna be a break in this cold weather. All right, take care, be safe, and stay warm. Keep your pets inside. Cover your plants. Alrighty then.
In a moment with an update from Chris Harris. Hour 2 tonight on Rents. Well, I guess we shouldn't worry, should we, Chris? Bobby McFerrin was right. That last article you sent, I'm going to post it up. It's like, if it wasn't horrifying, it would be really funny. And of course we have the statements by Kai Vetter, which I kind of did an intellectual vivisection of his incredibly insane statements when he came back a year and a half ago from a little tour in Germany with a conference over there in Europe. As the director of nuclear engineering at UC Berkeley, that was doing the testing, only testing on water, food, and fish, etc., and reporting it for the first year roughly after Fukushima. And after my contact with him, they just shut down. In fact, he's already pronounced that being the god of the science of radiotoxicology. He's already stated that before they even get their first sample of kelp from 18 different universities, sending him samples on 3 different data points from the area of Oregon all the way through to the Baja California, that the results already in his, I guess he's got his Swami hat on like Johnny Carson. He already knows the results will be inconsequential and shouldn't worry about your health. And don't worry about it. Don't worry, be happy, drink the radioactive water, go surfing, eat the radioactive fish. Don't worry, be happy, because I'm the god of radiological sciences and I pronounce it fine. And even if your skin falls off, your immune system crashes, you die of a horrible infection and radiation injury, don't worry, be happy, because when you worry, you make it double. What do you think?
So who's that? Is that Ann Coulter said a little radiation is good for you? So, but it's not.
Well, maybe that's the reason why she looks like a praying mantis. If you ever, I've talked to people who have actually seen her up front. It's like, she does not look human. Is she really human, or is she some form of a very skinny cyborg? So,
using it as an energy source.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this last article you have here, dated today, is really. This is crazy. This is from KUOW. Seattle. Let's talk about this for a minute and what's in this article and what they're planning on doing.
Oh, well, what was the title? The title was scientists pretty much saying, "Don't worry, be happy." I know you played that. But it's pretty appropriate. But they're supposedly taking measures. Now, this is not the first time I've seen an article lately about downplaying the health effects that we're seeing due to any kind of elevated radiation that is coming from Fukushima or from other sources that I'm not aware of. But the whole problem is it's not that this is a problem. The problem is I'm seeing more and more of these kinds of articles coming out, including old drudging up of interviews with Galen Windsor, who was noted swimming in spent fuel pools, not going down to the spent fuel, mind you, but swimming in the pools to show that there aren't any health effects or anything. But even he didn't actually go down and embrace the spent fuel assemblies and come up close and personal with it. There's a certain there's a lot of I think there's misleading on both sides, but it's a little alerting that when you start seeing many articles coming out saying downplaying the health effects, well then you have to understand. You have to kind of think, why is this happening? I'm wondering, is it because someone's going to start saying that there's really nothing that they can do, and maybe TEPCO is saying that, especially since TEPCO last week decided to change the name of their company and start going into the buying and selling of electrical generation. I guess it's sort of like the way Enron was doing it, and they need to generate the revenue. They definitely need that to continue doing something with Fukushima, even though that's painlessly slow. They are. I remember a long time ago, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if TEPCO got up and walked away from the mess saying, sorry, guys, nothing we can do. We'll see you later. Well, I think this is a step in that direction because they have recently opted for that kind of a bow out. I guess that's an appropriate way of putting it. A bow out of the generation end of electrical production into the wheeling or the buying and selling.
You heard the term gamma ray kamikaze, right? From the young people that are minimally trained, often homeless, or people that have debts to the Yakuza in Japan are literally told to go in there. And if you go into highly radioactive areas like around reactor number 1 and 3, you'll probably have about an hour of exposure before you will absolutely 100% die. And if you have less exposure, they're covering with lead shielding their dosimetry cards as they continue to work. What's going to happen? This is above a prediction and below a prophecy, but it's going to happen probably this year, is we'll have enough radiation release that people in Tokyo and surrounding northern prefectures will get acutely ill and they won't be able to cover it up. We'll also start seeing levels of radiation on the beaches along the western coast and the deaths of sea life to the level where the alarmists, the environmentalists, especially now the cities like the town of Berkeley, were the first to actually said they're going to start pushing for sampling testing. And it's silly that after the town of Berkeley was pushing for sampling testing last week and passed it to the city council, the University of Berkeley, that's housed in the town, and Kai Vetter, who is basically disinformation op, somebody tapped on his door and said, Mr. Kai Vetter, Professor, you've been reporting a lot of nuclear material that has not been sanctioned by Homeland Security, etc. It's a matter of national security. We would appreciate you toning down your presentations to the public and, putting a little water on the fire. And they put water on the fire, all right. They're telling people, don't worry, be happy. This is very, very obscene. The public are going to get mad as hell like the movie Network. And they're not going to take it anymore. And if people see me, I occasionally go over the edges because when, number one, I'm not included in the dialogue, and that means people interviewing or asking questions, and they don't ask Digo my opinion on, for example, Arnie Gunderson's statement that, by the way, it's all over, and after 90 days, don't worry about radioiodine, that's gone. Why did they get 14,000 cards, not doses, 14,000 million cards of potassium iodate? Well, it's not for a future event, Arnie. It's because not only will you have the collapse of the cooling pools and subsidence or an earthquake, but there's still massive generation of radioiodine. Plus, you need to do what's called mitochondrial recovery or resurrection. And the problem is, without radioiodine, your mitochondria don't make new ones. Without blocking the radioiodine, because it's going to block normal mitochondriogenesis. What I see happening is the concentrations of strontium and cesium are really going to start to take their effect. And I predict an evacuation of northern Japan this year. The wealthy, the smart, who have contacted us over the last 3 years, they're gone. And if they're not gone, they've got a home elsewhere, and they're spending minimum time, and they're trying to see whatever they can do to minimize their exposure to radioactive water, food, air, etc. They've moved to southern Japan. I've had contacts with people that lived in the area around Tokyo, and they've gone to southern Japan. Interesting, the town that one of the gentlemen moved his family to was Hiroshima, which is in southern Japan. He moved from Fukushima to Hiroshima to get away from the effects of a nuclear bomb, which is what these are, dirty bombs. Is that funny or what?
That's ironic.
Moved to Hiroshima.
Moved to the ground zero of a historic explosion, right?
Right.
Yeah, I guess the feds, supposedly they're buying all that, the iodine. I guess if they were, it shows how not so smart they were. They should have been buying iodine instead.
They know that, exactly. Nutriodine is safe, much more powerful, and will resurrect your mitochondria. What they're really worried about is they want all these troops ready in case the population goes crazy because they're become toxic zombies. And the population goes crazy when they realize the government lied to them. Welcome back, and they did a drilling 75 feet down, which is 25 meters, and they know they don't have concordant containment of the concorium. Another bad statement that made by Arnie was that the corium's down just in the concrete, and it's kind of mixing with clean water, and his whole program is just to keep the clean water away from the corium. Sorry, what concrete is a paracrystalline liquid. Most people don't realize concrete is not really, in chemical terms, and what's called inorganic chemical terms, it is a paracrystalline, slow-moving liquid. It looks solid, but it's not. Okay, so
I would ask them, how come fuel fragments are being detected with remote equipment in the torus? You know, that's not in the concrete. The torus is in a different location.
Right, the torus and these other devices that were set up, they're improperly engineered right from 1972 reports. It's well below the concrete. It's at least 75 feet below, or 25 meters. And I'm going to go through the checklist again. These are technical things they could do that would reduce it dramatically right now. The very first thing they should do is put up a seawall and pump all the liquid radioactive water that's venting out in the seafloor and turn it into solid waste and then dispose of it. They need to have a diversion of the aquifer behind it, and I don't think an ice wall is the best way to do that. I think they needed a proper full-blown diversion project so the aquifer doesn't flow water underneath the reactor site. They need to put Kevlar spider silk tents and have a filtration system. They need to have a proper remediation system, which they've tried to set up on site, but it's not working yet, to filter out of the water strontium. Most people don't realize all the storage containers that are sitting on site at the Fukushima Daiichi have not filtered out any strontium or cesium-134, 137. They just let it pass right through. It's just remarkable. And then we didn't even assemble them correctly, so the rivets in the lower parts of many of these so-called storage containers were not properly assembled, so they popped off and leaked like crazy a number of months ago. And when that happened, by the way, I think it was back in the spring, our radiation detectors went to 4 to 5 times background. It's back down to fluctuating between background and twice background, so we know there's waves of radiation coming in here. It's mainly hitting more up toward British Columbia and Washington State, and then it splits because it's part of the airborne split of the sea-based ocean current called the Kuroshio that splits and spirals north toward Alaska and south along the coast of California from Washington State, Oregon, and along the Baja, and then goes back out in the Pacific out toward Japan. Much of this, by the way, hits another current and carries it south across the equator to the eastern slope and side of Australia and the western of New Zealand. Also, current carries it across the equator to the western side of South America, all the way from Ecuador all the way to Argentina and Chile. So when people think, oh, well, these places are all safe, yeah, it's not going to get as high. It's going to take a long time to get there, maybe 6 years, maybe a decade or more before it really gets higher. But I predict, and this is just kind of like a number I'm pulling out of the air, that 5 years from now, maybe 10 years, the level of radiation we're seeing now in Japan will be equivalent to most of the United States, which basically right now Tokyo should have been already evacuated. And when we're starting to see really bioaccumulation levels of massive strontium and cesium, which are some of the worst of these guys because they're very biologically active, The Japanese population are going to freak out because they're basically trained in their culture to be passive. The reason why Homeland Security has built up all of these APCs and Bearcats and weapons and so on, and they've trained foreign troops on American soil to kind of come in and take control, including take control away from the county sheriffs, which I had a chance to actually have dinner last night with the deputy county sheriff, is to talk about the fact that we are at a juncture where our government is not our government anymore. And people find this very disgusting, or it's obscene to say that, and they really like our president, or maybe he's screwing up, but really he's looking out for America's best interest. No, he's not. He's not paying attention to Fukushima. He's devaluing the dollar. We're going to have a dollar crash and a bank holiday this year. He's setting up the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He wants the trade right to sanctify this trade treaty. And the radiation levels are going to reach the levels in America where more and more people are going to get evident acute mild radiation sickness. Vertigo, dizziness, anxiety attacks, insomnia, bloating, gas, maybe bleeding from the nose and throat, sinus infections, bronchitis, maybe more deaths caused by the H1N1 flu because they're weakened states. This is going to be, in the Latin, an annus horribilis, a horrible year. And I don't think people grasp how there's a lot of people making statements that are out of their area of expertise, including people who've done great good like Helen Caldicott. But Helen, the fact is, taking your family from Boston to Australia, yes, it'll buy them maybe 6 to 10 years. But if the radiation kills the Pacific Ocean and the world oxygen concentration starts dying, and the coastal water circulatory pattern carries radioactive strontium and cesium and other isotopes to every ocean within 26 months, it doesn't save you or the Chilean fishery or even the Chinese. Within 3 weeks to 6 weeks after Fukushima, 22 provinces in China reported radioactivity in their food. This is not just a west-east kind of movement of air. Over the Kamchatka Peninsula and over Vladivostok in Siberia, which is the easternmost part of Russia, they detected radioactivity. So this is going to be a cataclysmic global disaster of unprecedented levels, and I believe that this is a prelude to the international peace treaty that will happen in the Middle East, because the death of the Pacific is precipitating all of the nations to counter the militarism of China and the collapse of the Japanese economy, which is virtually identical to the one that happened in 1928 before the 1929 collapse, where the Japanese pulled their money back. So this is all tied together. So I'm connecting some dots here for you out there so you'll understand you need to take care of your health. You need to get clean filtered water, which is why we have the pure water system and the whole house system. You need to have HEPA filters. It's not realistic to think you're going to move 1.3 billion people from China to the southern hemisphere, to southern America or Australia or New Zealand. First off, the services, the amount of water present in these areas is limited. And you're not going to, the ultra wealthy have already gone. I mean, the people that could buy a place in the Cook Islands or move to Johannesburg or move to someplace in Uruguay, they're already on their way out, or they have put their down payments on their apartment or their house. Your comments, Chris?
Well, that would be a pretty big task to move all those people, and yeah, you know, I think
it's not logistically impossible.
I think of the Japanese.
Yeah, but by the way, the Chinese, I know from talking to the Falun Gong over the past decades in China, which are persecuted and thrown in Laodai prison camps, that the policy of the Chinese Communist government is they want a massive reduction in their population, so they would welcome war. They want a little bit of pestilence. You know, you could make a kind of a musical of spray a little pestilence on our population and we'll thank you. Yeah, you know, they don't want 1.3 billion people. They want maybe 250 million. And they want them to be highly educated, and they want everybody to, you know, have just a minimum size family, and they want to basically have a drone class just outside Beijing. And this is something that's classified, but I'm going to tell you, they have 250,000 fetuses growing in artificial uteri that are genetically engineered to be, quote, genetically superior because they have mastered cloning. And the original research was Russian and American, going back for over 5 decades, starting at George Washington University and also at the University in Moscow at the Biological Research Institute that was also tied to the Human Genome Project. Cloning is not that hard. I can give you a couple $1 million list of equipment and you can clone human beings. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's not hard. You know, believe it or not, cloning dogs is harder, and you can actually go to Repat and get your dog cloned. Did you know that? Right here in California, go to Repat, get a little bone marrow sample. I was teasing my wife Michelle because I like to, rib her at times when she doesn't know exactly where I'm coming from, because I would be good at poker, but I don't gamble. And I said, our dog's name is Max, M-A-C-S, because he's Scottish. He's a West Wild Terrier. And I said, well, if Max dies, and he's now we got him 3 days before 9/11, so I call him my 9/11 doggy. If he dies, then we'll make a new pet, and we'll call him Mach 2. Like the speed of sound, right?
That's good.
And she looks at me, and she gives me, then she realizes that I'm pulling her leg, right? Oh, Bill's doing this again. Because she never knows when to take me seriously, because I'll switch gears from being like over the top to like, Jimmy Kimmel crazy funny.
That is pretty funny. I was wondering if there was a longevity issue with clones, but I don't know if you have talked about that.
No.
Okay.
No. The fact is, we don't even know there's an expiry date, like your teddy bear where the arm comes off before the next Christmas. Yeah, the level of Tier 1 science is decades ahead of what people even think exists. And it's a very strange world indeed. That song years ago in the 70s? The strange, strange world we live in. Master Jack, remember that?
Yep, sure.
It is a very strange world. And the strange world is we are being radioactively and electromagnetically, electrotoxically, and GMO food poisoned to death. A global omnicide is in progress as we speak. And people don't even believe us. They think we're lying.